Ever since Ed Miliband went on TV and said that plug-in solar was legally coming to the UK, there's been a huge amount of interest. In a recent poll on my YouTube channel, over 900 people responded. Half of you had said you'd already done it or were in the process of installing plug-in solar. But 30% of you said, I'm waiting on the legislation or I really don't know where to start. So today we're going to change that. We're going to start by looking at the top 3 microinverters that people have been asking about. Now, all 3 of these microinverters have been running at my property for over a month. And that way we've been able to gather a lot of data, we see how they perform, and I can give you my recommendations on which one I think you should buy. So today we're going to look at 3 different microinverters. We're going to look at the AP1 Systems microinverter, we're going to look at the Hoymiles 800W microinverter, and we're going to look at the EcoFlow Stream microinverter. Now, all 3 of these microinverters are 800 watts. They all have 2 solar inputs. They're all designed for a plug-in architecture. So let's go and dig into the details, and I'll let you know what I think about each of the microinverters. And we're going to score them in 5 different categories and hopefully come to a conclusion about which one you should buy. So I've managed to find a little bit of shade on this really bright sunny morning. I've got all 3 microinverters here on the table with me. We're going to look at each one individually. We're going to score it on the device itself, the build quality, the app and the ecosystem that comes with it, third-party integration, so how easy it is to integrate in things like Home Assistant, and also do they offer local network support? So if the cloud goes away, can you still access the device? We'll talk a little bit about installation, build quality, and then finally documentation, support and warranty. So let's start with the APsystems microinverter. So this is the EZ1M. For those that watched the video that I did on this a few days ago, really easy to install. It's just a chunk of metal. The whole case is metal. It obviously acts as a heat sink. Even today, just sitting out in the sun, it's doing a good job because you can actually touch the metal even though it's been sitting out here for an hour. Just one simple screw, screw it onto the wall or screw it behind the solar panel, and it's there, it's ready, and it's mounted. Now, this is a really nice, really simple to install microinverter, but there is one thing that could trip you up. If you just were to go on Amazon today and order one of these, it would probably arrive tomorrow. And then you'd go back to Amazon because the next day you'd need to go and order this plug. So this is obviously a proprietary connector. In fact, all of the microinverters have a proprietary connector here. But you need to buy this piece. Now this is only about £7 to £10, depending on where you get it. But this connects to a standard mains cable, and you need to put a plug on the end of it. Now, hopefully, once the legislation goes through and looking at the interim standard, there will be a requirement for a molded plug on the end. They'll start putting these in the box. But right now, you need to buy this separately, and obviously you need to find a piece of cable and a plug yourself. Other than that, I think it's a really nice, really sort of simple, easy to set up system. You don't need any expertise. It is a case of plug your solar panels into the connections on the bottom here, plug this through the proprietary connector into the wall, and it will start generating. The panels will start sending DC through here, get converted into AC, come out that cable into the wall. So really, really easy to use. You don't even need to bother with the app if you don't want to. If you're not interested in the stats, how much did it generate on a particular day, if you just wanted to put energy into your house, it will work straight out of the box. Now, when we talk about build quality, there's one thing that 2 of the 3 microinverters we're going to look at do, which I don't really like. And that is that the MC4 connectors are actually on the bottom of the unit here. Now, the reason I don't like this is if you were to break these for whatever reason, now the likelihood is you're going to install this once, you're going to leave it alone, it's never going to get unplugged. But if you are plugging and unplugging these for whatever reason, like me, you're just messing around with stuff, and you break one of these, this is a lot harder to repair as if these were on cables. So just something to think about. If you are looking for a system that you can plug and unplug, maybe don't go with one with the MC4s connected directly onto the bottom of the unit. Now, from an app point of view, really basic app, really easy to get set up, produced a whole load of data. I'll pop a couple of screenshots up next to me here. You can see really no complaints about the app. It is a little bit basic, but it is a basic microinverter. Now, the next part is how easy is it to integrate into third-party systems? If you're into Home Assistant or Homey or one of the other third-party platforms, I had a few issues getting it to work. Now, in the end, it did work. It was probably more down to me, but it wasn't simple case of install the integration, it found it, it got working. It took me half an hour to an hour to figure out what was going on. I reset the unit and it worked straight after that. So it does work. Just be aware, if you are a novice to something like Home Assistant, you may run into some of the issues I ran into. If you do, ChatGPT and Claude are really, really good at diagnosing the problems with Home Assistant. Local mode, I could not get it to work, but that again could just have been me. Overall, the AP1 system is a really nice microinverter. If you're just looking for something to do the job, you're not interested in all the bells and whistles, the integrations, the rest of the ecosystem, I can highly recommend this. This is your go-to plug and play solution. Okay, let's move on and talk about the Hoymiles. Now, Hoymiles have been around for a long time. They make microinverters. They have lots of microinverters in their range. This is and he's having to look down and read it off the back of the unit because it's such an easy name to remember. This is the Hoymiles HMS-800W-2T. It's important you get the right microinverter. There are multiple 800-watt microinverters, but the 2T, as it actually says on the back here, is the Wi-Fi version. Now, why is that important? Well, Hoymiles make microinverters that are designed to go on the roof of your house. And in some cases, the Wi-Fi may not extend to the roof of the house. So they also have an extra radio inside the device, or in some of their devices, that uses a non-Wi-Fi frequency that gives them much more range. For that, you need an extra device, a thing that looks like a little Wi-Fi base station, to receive the data from the units. So if you are buying one of these, make sure you get the Wi-Fi version. You don't need the version that has I believe the device is called a DTU, because that could cost you a few £100 more. But anyway, the HMS 800W-2T, really solid device. Unlike the AP1, you've actually got two mounting points on the top here. I'm not sure I would trust these. I mean, if you screw them down tight, you'll be fine. But there doesn't seem to be the little hooks at the top here for it to hook onto to hold the weight. But that's just me. I like these drop leads. This is a really good idea. The reason is like I said, if I break one of these MC4 connectors, if I snap the tabs off accidentally on a system like the AP1, where it's mounted on the bottom of the unit, there's really not much I can do about it. I'd have to try and take the unit apart, obviously voiding all the warranty, or I'd have to get involved in a support claim. With these, I can literally just cut the plug off and mount another one on there. Now, I don't have a lot of space to get there. I could probably do that 2 or 3 times before I run out of cable, but at least I could repair it myself and get it back up and running. From an app point of view, I would say of the 3, this is the weakest that I came across. The reason is quite often when I go to log into the Hoymiles site, it won't let me log in. It says, can't find the server is down. I don't know if that's a capacity thing. I don't know if that's something that I'm doing wrong, but it happens to me very frequently. And then I try again a few minutes later and it lets me in and I can get all the data. Again, I'll pop some screenshots up here. Again, a very basic app. If all you're using is a single microinverter, now, the app does support the rest of the Hoymiles ecosystem. So if you are using Hoymiles batteries or you have multiple of these, then the app does expand to cover that. And it is a really nice, I would say, pretty simple to use app. Now, one thing I would say about all of these microinverters is the build quality on them is amazing. They are all metal. They all use the case as a heatsink, so there are no fans in the device. I've had these running sitting out in the sunshine, sitting underneath the solar panel, and I've gone to touch them and they are hot. They are very, very hot, but they're working just fine. So the metal construction really, really helps dissipate a lot of that heat. Okay, let's talk about the EcoFlow. So this is the one that most people are probably familiar with. This is the EcoFlow Stream microinverter. This is the entry to the EcoFlow Stream ecosystem. Just like all of the others, 2 inputs on the bottom, again, built directly into the unit, not a great fan of that. Alloy casing, again for a heatsink, Wi-Fi antenna, drop lead to a proprietary plug. But here's the difference. With the EcoFlow system, you actually get 2 more boxes. So as part of the kit, you get 4 MC4 drop leads. These are 3 meters each. So it means that if, like I said earlier, if you are one of these people that plugs and unplugs, you plug your drop leads into here, and then you plug and unplug on the other end. And then if you break one of the connectors, you're breaking the connector on the end of one of these. So again, 3 meters probably isn't enough if you're doing long runs like I do down the garden. But if you're mounting this underneath the back of the panel, which is how it's designed to be installed, this is perfect for connecting the panel to the microinverter. Now, the other part that you get in the box is the power cable, the thing that you don't get with the Hoymiles or the AP1 system. So again, although it's a proprietary plug, and mine did come with 3 bare wires on the end, I had to put a plug on the end of it myself, but you get a nice long cable. So again, everything you need to get you up and running is in the box. Now, of the 3, I would say the EcoFlow has by far the best app and the best ecosystem. Where it falls down is on its third-party integration with Home Assistant. I don't know if there is just a fundamental thing about we don't like Home Assistant and EcoFlow, but it supports multiple different platforms. You go on the website, there's like 20 different partners, but there's no official support for this. Now, that said, there are some really good, what are known as HACS integrations within Home Assistant. I have this running with one of those. There are 2 modes with that. You can do it with your normal username and login. I wouldn't recommend that. Go get a developer account on the EcoFlow website. That will allow you to generate an API key, and it works flawlessly after that. So again, very, very easy to integrate into Home Assistant, very, very easy to take that data and use that information, whether it's you want to turn devices on and off when this is generating more than a certain amount, when it's you just want to measure it and plot it on charts, as I do. Really, really good Home Assistant third-party integration. Now, the one thing that EcoFlow falls down on a little bit is local support. Now, they do offer Bluetooth support, so if the network goes away, you can access the device by going up to it with your phone and using Bluetooth. But it would be much nicer to have full local network API access. And I think there might be a glint on the horizon here, because the new Ocean 2 that they announced recently has full local access on the network. So hopefully we'll see that start to come to the rest of the EcoFlow products in the near future. Okay, let's wrap this up by talking about documentation, what comes in the box, and then we'll talk a little bit about getting support if something goes wrong. So as I say, I ordered all 3 of these from Amazon. They all came as a package. The Hoymiles came with 0 documentation. It literally was an inverter in a box. There was a piece of paper that said, please go to the website for more information, but no physical documentation with that one. The AP1 systems came with a fold-out sheet that was all in German. I don't know if it was just because maybe this one was destined for the EU market, but again, my German's passable. I was able to understand that and do everything I needed to do to get this up and running. EcoFlow came with a nice little sort of booklet that sort of stepped you through all the things you needed to do that. So I would say from a documentation point of view, EcoFlow won hands down with that. Now let's talk about support, because these are designed to be devices that live outdoors. They sit underneath your solar panels, and they work all day, every day, until they don't. And then you need to be able to call somebody, email somebody, open a support ticket. So for each of the 3 manufacturers, I rang the phone number that they gave in their documentation and said, if you've got a support problem, call this number. All 3 of them answered within about 1 minute. For the EcoFlow system, I did sit in a queue, I think for about a minute, and then somebody answered the phone. I have heard where you go online into certain forums, into Reddit forums, that people are saying that the EcoFlow support wasn't very good. All I can tell you is they answered the phone within a minute. The APsystems and the Hoymiles ones picked up the phone literally as soon as I rang. So can't fault any of them for answering my queries. Again, depending on the device, depending on what the problem is, then they'll either warranty support it, send out a new one. They might ask you to send it back to be fixed. Now I did, when I was talking to the guys at APsystems, I did say, well, what happens if the device is up on the roof? So there's, you need scaffolding, you need support. And they said, well, their warranty is on the device. Their warranty is not on the install. So if you are going to install these and you are thinking about putting them somewhere where you can't get to them, just consider that in your support costs. If this were to go wrong and it was up on my roof, I could be looking at £500 worth of scaffolding to get up there to change out a device that costs £120. So I think if I was installing this tomorrow and the panels are on the roof, I would probably install this at ground level. So if something went wrong with it, I could get access to it easily. Okay, so let's wrap this up and let me answer the question that I posed at the beginning. If you were going to buy one of these today, which one should you buy? Well, that's not as easy a question to answer as you would think, because right now, these devices are actually quite hard to get your hands on. Again, because this is a YouTube channel, I will put sponsored links in the description below. If you are looking to buy one, I'd be really grateful if you would use them. But when you go to Amazon, you might find that they're not available, or the prices might have shot up. I saw recently somebody saying that the AP1 system was being advertised at £400. Now that's not the company selling it at £400, that's somebody trying to scalp you because they've got one and they know a lot of people would want to buy one. But they are all generally available. Some have longer lead times than others. But which is the best? Well, as you can see from the hardware, they're all pretty much the same. They're all 2 inputs, 1 output, hard metal case that acts as a heatsink. So they all deliver exactly what they're supposed to. So there's really nothing to choose in the hardware. So it really all comes down to the app and the ecosystem and the support. And in my experience, the support is all pretty much the same. So I would say it comes down to the app and the ecosystem. If you're bought into any one of the ecosystems, it makes sense to stay in that ecosystem, because nothing that these 3 devices do is going to suddenly make you go, I need to leave one ecosystem and move to another. But I would say of all 3, certainly from my perspective, the EcoFlow app and ecosystem seems to be much more richly featured. So I'm going to score the EcoFlow 5 out of 5. I'm going to score the other 2 4.9 out of 5. So if I was to choose one of the 3, I would choose the EcoFlow Stream microinverter, just because I'm already bought into that ecosystem. But any one of these is going to do exactly what you need it to do, and any one of these would be a purchase that you'd be happy with. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you'd like me to do more of a deep dive into any one of the 3 microinverters, then I'm more than happy to do that. Let me know in the comments below. With that, I'm going to sign off because it's burning hot out here. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.